Hey everyone, welcome back to Papa's Workshop. Well, I'm in the car and I'm heading over to a new house that my grandson had purchased and we need to remodel it. Now so far we've cleaned up the front yard just a little bit, basically just cut it for the first time, and they've painted the cabinets. The old cabinets used to be a red and a black and it just looked horrible. So they've repainted them a nice dark gray, and there's a lot more work that we'll be doing over the next couple of months to get this house all fixed up and back remodeled. Here's a first look at the house as I pull up to the front of it. All in all, it doesn't look that bad. It just needs a lot of maintenance. Here's a look at those cabinets again, and there's two drawers that are actually missing. One's actually broken and the other was missing altogether. Here's a look at where you can see the finished painting that was done on the cabinets, and you can see that's a world of difference. It looks so much better. My grandson's down there working, putting the last of the doors onto the cabinet. I have to say that my grandkid's been working real hard. He was able to sand down those cabinets, put the kilts on it so that red wouldn't bleed back through, and then get all those cabinets painted. So I'm real proud of the work that he's been doing over there, and I'm enjoying helping him get the rest of these cabinets put back together. Now I came back to the shop to be able to build the drawers and repair that one that's broken, because that's something I just didn't have the tools and the equipment to do over there in the house itself. And it really won't take that long to be able to build the new drawer and to repair this old one. And then I'll head back over and we'll put it all together. Now I didn't film this whole process because it's very simple and straightforward. All I needed to do was to cut a piece of the wood to be able to drop in to this area. And then when I pulled out the nails out of these side pieces, as you might expect, the particle board came with it. So that left a very significant gap in this area. The only thing I did there is use the method I've used so often in my channel. I used the Starbond medium glue and some sawdust, filled this space, and put in the Starbond CA glue. And that made a brand new, good, solid joint. And then just nail this piece in. But now for the next drawer, I actually have to build the drawer from scratch, and I have to build it, obviously, to the correct size to fit into this cabinet. Now, one of the challenges that I have on rebuilding this next drawer is to be able to duplicate this drawer face. Now, I do not have a router bit that has this profile on it. So I'm going to have to be able to make this based on a number of cuts, both with the table saw and with the router table. That's going to be a little bit of a challenge. But this one is all sanded and ready for the final paint and to go back on the drawer that I just repaired. Now, in a number of the different videos that I've done over the years, I have shown different methods to be able to make the different drawers. Well, this one is going to be different still again. I'm going to copy the exact same method that the original cabinet was made. And that's, quite frankly, I used the bottom of the drawer is actually stapled to the sides. Nothing fancy. There was no fancy joinery whatsoever. So I'm just going to follow that same format, glue and staple this drawer together. Now this particular drawer is going to be 14 inches wide and it's going to be 22 1/8 inch long. The front and the back of the drawers are made with this rabbet cut, and that will receive in the sides of the drawers themselves. And that's really the only fancy joinery on this entire drawer. But as far as the length, this is 22 1/8 inch long, just as the original drawer was. And as far as the width that I need for this drawer, this is 14 inches wide. Perfect, that's what I need. So this drawer actually is ready to be assembled. Now I do need to cut the bottom of the drawer, and of course the bottom is going to be used out of a 5mm piece of plywood, and of course the dimension 22 1/8 by the 14 inches. As I said a few moments ago, I have made many different design drawers and showed you exactly how to do it. This by far is the simplest way to be able to make the drawer and not have any fancy cuts whatsoever. This bottom panel actually serves two purposes. One, it's cut the exact same size as the sides of the drawer, and two, it ensures that the drawer is completely square when you nail it on. And that's a big advantage over some of the other types of the designs that I have used in the past. Also, because it's a very straightforward dimension, being the exact same size of the drawer, in this case 14 by the 22 1/8, it has far less chance of making an error. Now for the fun part. It's time to make the drawer front. I took a piece of oak and I cut it 16 inches long. That's 2 inches longer than the width of the actual drawer itself. And then I'm using the existing drawer front to set up to get the proper width. I'm going to cut that first, so that way I'll have the block set up for the correct size. I want to pick out the best size of the wood to be able to keep, and then from there I'm going to adjust the height of the blade and then run this through, and that will give me the proper width of this board. The dimension, roughly 5 inches, 5 1/4. I don't know, quite frankly, I don't really care, because it's the exact same width as the other drawer front. That's the important thing. Next, we've got to make this angle right here. And I'm just going to line that up on the edge of the saw blade. To me, this is the easiest way to be able to do it. You just put the original drawer front down, tilt the blade over, until the blade touches the entire surface of the edge that we're trying to cut. Now, could I do it with a protractor? Maybe, but you still have a lot of room for error, and you still have to ultimately adjust the blade this way in the end. So what is the exact angle? Don't know. Quite frankly, don't care, but the saw blade is set exactly the same as the original drawer front. Okay, it's time to make the first cut. I can take my new piece of oak material and cut it on the table saw now. I'll have that exact angle, and that will be the bottom of this profile on this new drawer front. Now that this is cut, I want to verify that this is correct. So I'm going to flip these two fronts over, and I'm looking at the bottom side. I want to make sure that that cut is exactly the same width on the original as well as the new one. And it is. That is perfect. I can verify the angle, and it looks real good. Now I have the proper angle for the blade, and I have the proper distance here, but you can't run this through this direction because you run the risk of catching and having a kickback. Normally, I would just simply take this miter gauge, slip it in to this other side, and I would be ready to cut. However, the fence on this miter gauge is actually too long. So no matter what I do or how I adjust it, it's still going to be in the way of that blade. So we'll remove this miter gauge, and I'll grab another miter gauge where I can hold it. Now I'm ready to make this cut. So I can cut each end now to the proper angle, and the bottom profile is now cut. So here's a close-up look at that bottom profile. This angle is exact, it looks really, really good, and it matches the original drawer front perfectly. Now this is a white side 1/4 inch upcut bit, and I think that will give me the profile that I'm looking for. That will cut right there, and then I'll finish it up with a table saw and do just a little bit of sanding to be able to smooth that out. So we'll set this up in a router table, and we'll make this cut. And you set this up the same way. I want to lower this down. Now I'm using the drawer front itself to be able to set this up. And all I need to do is raise this bit until the drawer front itself just begins to move and raise upward. That's really the height and how I adjust that. Then I'm going to bring the fence over, and I'm going to line it up so that it is right to that edge, the inside edge of the drawer front. And with that done, it's time to make a test cut. What I'm looking for is to be able to make a cut where it just barely scratches the paint, if you will. I don't want to cut any wood. And by doing that, I know that I'll have the exact profile that I need to have to be able to cut on the actual new front. To show you what I mean, this is a little tiny test cut that I made. You can see where it barely scratches the paint. That's what I'm looking for. So now at this point, I can take my brand new drawer front and make the cut. And that will give me the top profile all the way around on what I need. So this is a pretty easy way to be able to set it up. There's no tape measures involved. It just takes a little bit of time to be able to get the bit positioned exactly where it needs to be. And always, I want to point out the fact that when you're using a router table, you always want to cut the end grain first and then run the other direction. This helps to minimize the tear out. Even with oak, this is an important step. Always cut the end grain first. Okay, I now have the profile on this edge all the way down. The next thing is back to the table saw to cut this angle. And that blade will come right up the bottom edge of that curvature. At the table saw, we're going to use the exact same method as we used before. I'm going to have to set the height of the blade and also the angle of the blade. And again, I'm taking my time to be able to get this set exactly where I want it. Naturally, the angle of the blade is going to be different cutting this top profile, and the height is critical because if you cut it too high, you're going to cut into that round curvature that was created by that bullnose bit, and you don't want to do that. You want this saw blade to come right up to the edge of that curvature. Now it's time to see if all of our hard work pays off and to see what that profile looks like. And guys, this is looking good. I'm going to run it through a second time just to make sure that it's all nice and clean. That's looking really, really good. Need to sand that a little bit. A quick look at the old and the new profile, and I'm very happy with this. The last step is to sand and make sure that everything blends together on these different cuts that I made. And the other factor is that this outer edge needs to have a nice little round over to be able to match the original front. And the best way to do that is with the sanding block, and you can just do that very easily, and it takes very little time to be able to do it. I think this turned out absolutely fantastic. When this gets onto the cabinets, you'll never know that we had a shop-made drawer front. It's time to go ahead and assemble the drawer itself. And I'm going to lay this out one more time just to show you how it fits together with the two sides that fit into the rabbet joints. Then I'm going to add the glue, and we'll staple it together with the 18 gauge staple gun. Now this is the same 18 gauge stapler that I had repaired in the last video, and it's working perfectly. I'm not having any issues with it, and it's not jamming at all. As you can see, it's very easy to be able to assemble this drawer. These drawer sides just literally slide into that rabbet joint, and that gives you the perfect fit. With the glue already there, all you need to do is staple it together, and you can move to the other end. Again, this is probably the simplest drawer that you can possibly make. We'll pick out the best side. That's the best side, so we'll put that down. And of course, we're going to use plenty of glue. Using the glue with the plywood does not cause a problem with expansion. If you were using a solid wood, then that would be a different issue. But because we're using the plywood for the drawer size and the plywood bottom, it's not an issue with the wood expanding. This is already stable, so it's not an issue at all to use plenty of glue to be able to hold this together. Now for the easy part with this type of drawer construction. I literally just dropped this bottom panel right onto the drawer itself. I need to basically get it aligned. I want to specifically align this bottom edge right here, and I'll put 2 staples in that to begin with. With these 2 nails in place, and that holds it exactly where it needs to be, then I can move over to the opposite side and make sure that this drawer is square. Because remember, the panel itself is square. But you'll notice as I turn this around how that's out of alignment. All I need to do is just slide that over just a little bit, and that gives me a perfectly square drawer. Once that's done, I'll add another couple of staples in that. That will stabilize everything. And with this staple, now I can turn and staple the other sides and literally staple the entire perimeter to be able to not only act as a clamp to be able to allow the glue to dry, but those staples will hold and give the support that is needed for this drawer. So hopefully you can see just how easy it is to build a drawer in this manner. So if you watched my previous videos on the different designs that I have shown on how to make drawers, this is one more that you can add to that collection so that you can decide which way is the best method for you on building drawers. The last step that I want to do is just a real quick sanding. I want to be able to sand all these sharp edges and just round them over just a little bit. After that, I'll take and seal the wood. When you put the drawer face on there, oh yeah, that's going to look good. Yes. That looks better than any store-bought cabinet that you can find. Now, for those of you who watched a previous video where I rebuilt this, I took this gun apart and fixed it. Well, I want to say that today this gun operated flawlessly in building these drawers. So, save some money, do the repairs, save some money again, do the repairs on fixing the kitchen cabinets. To seal this wood, I just used some of this, which is a Select mixture, and I can just pour it in. I can also just pour some on here, take my paper towel and rub it in, and this dries very, very quick. Same thing in here. So you can get all the sides done. This will be dry in about 10 minutes. Same thing with the bottom. Looks like I'm going to need to mix up some more of this. This is the same mixture that I use on my wood turning projects. It's a very fast method to be able to seal the wood and be able to move right on with your project because it only takes about 10 minutes to dry. You can sand it and put on multiple coats very quickly. Now it's time to put the drawer slides on. I had to buy a new set because remember, this drawer was completely missing and the hardware that was in the cabinet was still there. So I had to buy a matching set so that these drawer rollers will function just fine in the existing drawer slides that are in the cabinet. I'll take this over to the house now along with this door front and I'll paint it there. And then I'll be able to put everything together and put it into the cabinet. So what is the mixture that I use in this little bottle? Well, it's a 1/3 shellac followed by 1/3 of the linseed oil and 1/3 of the denatured alcohol. So you can make as little or as much as you want. Just put in 1/3 each and you have a really good fast drying finish that seals the wood. Well, I have the new mixture. Just shake it up when you're ready to use it. And that little bottle will last me quite a while. Here's one more look at the before kitchen and then the after kitchen. I think this looks so much better. Now there's a few little details that are left to do in this kitchen, but it's really looking nice. I think the color is fantastic. Putting the handles on really dresses up the kitchen. The new drawers that I made are in. Not bad. Now at this point, the kitchen is pretty much done. There's a few little odds and ends that need to be finished up, but it's not a big deal. There's a lot of different little projects that we're going to be doing in this home, some of which I'll be filming, some it's not going to be that interesting. But we are going to be remodeling the entire house. We're going to be updating all of the 1970s look is going to go away, and we're going to bring it up to a 2023 look. Now, I hope that you'll choose to follow along in this journey, and if you do, by all means, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and you'll be notified on the different videos that I do. Now, I still will be doing other projects in the shop, so don't think that I'm not going to be doing that. So you don't want to miss out on the different projects that I'm doing. So if you like this video and you like the other videos that I'm doing on this channel, please stick around. There's a lot more coming, and I can't wait to see you real soon. So for now, bye-bye. Looking forward to seeing you